afternoon, good evening, wherever you are on this gorgeous planet. We truly appreciate you taking the time to listen to our 100 Connected podcast. And today we are joined by our wonderful minds we can't wait to hear from and connect with. But before I introduce our guest, my name is Annette de Graaf and I'm from Flow School in Norway. And my lovely, lovely friends are here today too. Hanneke Maki from Buskids in South Africa. Hey, Hanneke. And we have Lindsay Stewart from Sweet Tree Arts in Hope, Maine, the US.
Hello, hello.
Good morning, Lindsay. And last but not least, we have Alex Shapiro from HundrED in Helsinki.
Hello, actually today I'm joining you all from Spain.
Yes, HundrED is everywhere. Yeah, and now it is time to introduce our guest, our extraordinary guest to you. Welcome, dear Doha. Doha is a passionate educator and storyteller whose mission is to make reading accessible to children worldwide. Through Qesasjeh, she has created an innovative approach to literacy, one that transforms storytelling into an interactive, engaging, and problem-solving experience, and so much more than that. Her initiative is more than just reading books aloud. It is about making stories come to life and really to develop a love for reading and for learning that lasts a lifetime. And today we will dive into how storytelling can be a transformative tool in education and how initiatives like Qesasjeh are reshaping the way children learn. But we would like to start from the beginning. Like, Doha, please tell us, where did that passion of yours come from? How did it start? Please take us back in time.
Hello, first at all. Hello for everyone from around the world. So my initiative, actually, it started with my passion 2007. Once I watched a movie called Patch Adams by Robin Williams. So Robin Williams inspired me that everyone can volunteer to do something for passion. So I'm starting my initiative without Qesasjeh. I'm start storytelling in King Hussein Cancer Center. And also one day there's a Al-Jud initiative called me, Doha, you love reading. Can you make with us YouTube channel? They have YouTube channel called HundrED. So in HundrED, they make a series about anything you're passionate in it. So they told me, what if you have 10 series? What's the name of your show it will be? I'm thinking about that, what I'm like and what my passion. So I put my Qesasjeh. Qesasjeh, that means the person who reads stories from actual stories and also by reading them in a modern Arabic, not the actual Arabic with any accent. So I like the passion, it's come from 2007. Then after that, 2009, I'm starting to volunteer in King Hussein Cancer Center. So I'm ambassador with them now until now. That's why this inspiring me 2017 when I don't have a job. So I'm trying to ask myself, what the thing that Doha can make it 24 hours with non-stop mixing. So I'm trying to find out this question. So actually I find I like to make storyteller, and because also I'm author. So that's helped me a lot, especially when I work in Schumann Foundation as a storyteller in the knowledge path. I ask myself, why not? I can inspire people by make this initiative.
Wow, that's wonderful. You really took us back into time, and it really creates an image of you. And we can hear by the way you're talking how passionate you are.
Doha, it's so wonderful to hear more about your intervention. I am passionate about storytelling. I'm based in South Africa, been here all my life and a couple of generations of my family. And African culture is so embedded in storytelling. It's part of, not just African culture, it's human culture, the passing on of learning through folklore, through myth. Human beings have throughout time passed on culture and learning through storytelling. So I'm curious to know a little bit more about the type of storytelling that you do with Qesasjeh. Is it always based on an author's book that you bring alive? Is it sometimes just oral storytelling that's passed on from generations or made up on the spot and improvised? What are the tools you use? Take us into what the storytelling, the tools that you rest on engages, because I think the heart of education and learning is storytelling, which is at the heart of what we all do and what connects us. So we really want to know more, Doha. I'm so inspired.
Yeah. Actually, before I start do any session for storytelling, I'm trying to find out first the suitable story from different publishers. So I'm trying to find a book that I read it aloud. Because sometimes we have stories, but it's too long. We can't read it in the same session. But in Qesasjeh, I like to read stories from actual book. That's why I'm trying to find out the book that can finish quickly and in the same time have a value and have something fun. Because I'm trying also to find out the phrases that they can make it together. For example, to have numbers, animals, so anything that make interaction with me and the audience. Because the read aloud, it's not about just reading. No, it's about having fun. It's about learning more from the language itself. It's about also to know the voice itself. It's about expression. They will know the experience of our feelings. When I read it aloud, for example, when I say, oh, it's very sad. So they will know from my sounds, that feeling, you can recognize it as it's sad. When I feel happy, I make them happy. So it's shown for them, not just reading. They want to learn something for their life, to build their skills for social emotional skills. Because it's very important to make the story as a bridge for their language and for how to communicate with each other. So that's why it's really hard for me when I figure out some stories that have those elements to make it fun. And I always start with a song. We have a show. So they sing with me. It's like a beginning for our show. Also, I'm starting to give them how to breathe, smell flower and blow a candle. So I help them how also to be calm and to breathe more. So in this session, in breathing session, we learn for a life, because we build and develop a human being. Because I'm thinking about the children and the teenage, how their brains work. So we have to emphasize some skills that they help them for the future. Because for Qesasjeh, I planned something, but I will never ever see the impact now. It will show later on. That's why I'm feel very happy, because this seed, when I throw it, and someone watering it after me, so it will give a special fruit that's help them to be a human being in this life, especially with the global issue, with many struggling in our life. Qesasjeh, inshallah, it will help them to be a human being.
Beautiful. So you're building 21st century skills, future competencies, and you are dealing with mindfulness in such a beautiful way. And I love that you're speaking even in your answer in such beautiful metaphors. You're such a storyteller. I love the use of different forms of arts as well. Resonates with me, particularly in the work we do. Your use of song and the voice, etc.
And also we use riddles. So because in my Qesasjeh, I have family. So my puppet have, for example, I have philosopher. It's called Abu al-Falasif. This is philosopher. So because in Qesasjeh we also we use it for critical thinking, because in Qesasjeh we read and we think, and also we use philosophy. So that's why it's I really have fun with the kids. They give me a spirit for this life. So it's a win-win. Me, as a human being, I like to communicate with children. They give me a passion to live, to stay alive here in this life. And in the same time, they take a language, they take knowledge. So I really like Qesasjeh, and inshallah, it will be more impact in the future.
Absolutely. And I just think it's so amazing. I sit on the other side of the world to you, and Liz is on the other side of the world. And there's so many touch points of what we do that is speaking to something similar, although we do it in such unique and different ways. we're all looking towards that 21st century skills, those future competencies, getting the children ready for the future that they face. I'm really impressed by your story so far. Thank you.
I wanted to ask many questions, but one is, what stories do you have of interacting with a child using your puppets that comes to mind that really illustrates why you do the work that you do?
I will give you a story for my niece. So at any gathering, I'm start reading, even with families or schools or any time. So when I read for them, I see how their eyes are gazing and how their ears, they are just attract them to listen. So like those stories, it's make Qesasjeh, no, I want to do more because I see the impact not from me. I see from their eyes and from how they surprised when they listen, you know, especially my niece nowadays, she have a toy, she called it Layla. So she try also to do puppet show like me. And also today we have sport day in Qatar. So I met many kids that they know Qesasjeh. So I know from them that how they like stories that I tell them, because I'm reading stories not just in school, in a museum, in parks, so in different area. Even I tried it in metro station. It's very nice. So I wanted to one day in airplane. So from their facial expression and how they act with me after reading stories, that makes me have power and inspire from them.
Thank you. That was lovely.
Doha, this has made me think of something that I have found in my recent research, which is an idea called hyperscanning. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but it is the idea that when two people communicate, literally on the level of their brains, our brainwaves will get into sync. It is scientifically proven. We know that this happens whenever two people talk. When we play music together, when we have a conversation, our pupils will dilate together and we will really actually get into synchrony with each other. And I think that that is one of the really magical things about storytelling, right? As you just talked about, when you were telling these stories, you see that their eyes open up at the same time, that they really start to feel things together. And it is reminding me of this domain of science where we can really understand how human connection is forged and reinforced when we have these kinds of really meaningful experiences together. But I wonder, you know, today technology is so important when it comes to education, but you are really relying on a lot of old-fashioned, we might call it, tools: puppets, stories, voice, accent. And so I wonder, in your opinion, how does your method, which focuses on traditional storytelling like this, really make those connections between students more meaningful and maybe also with you?
You know, because it's traditional, it attracts the kids more. And also it attracts the schools itself. So because, as you said, the technology, because it's about tablet and iPads and those things, there's no actual interaction. So this traditional way, it's helped them to see the author in front of them, the storyteller in front of them. So they feel, you know, our heart and our brain, it's worked more together when we make these traditional things. But, you know, that's why I'm trying nowadays to figure out my initiative. I will make it more by using the technology. I will make something with AI. So I have something special, inshallah, next year, because as you said, I want to interact the technology, but in the traditional way. You know, I want the traditional way to stay as it is, because, you know, even we have all those technologies, but when they feel and they use five senses when they see, watch and listen to the storytelling. So this, I think, that make them in NLP, that they called it for the brain, it will make memories more. It will help them to have fun. It will make the endorphin enzyme to work well. So that's why the traditional way, from my opinion, it will be the best ever, even in the future.
I think it has something magical. I actually want to join too. I have another question. So I've been watching you perform and it just looked so magical. The children were so engaged when they were listening to you. And I saw you wearing these huge glasses and it looked so fun. And I was wondering, because I heard that children learn about different perspectives through storytelling. Can you explain a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I will explain for that. For example, when I read my story, which my story is called Me, أنت هنا وأنا هناك. You here and I'm there. So in that story, it shows that each children around the world, we all read, we all play, we all draw. So I want them to see the perspective, the other perspective that even you are here in Qatar, for example, the one in US or Finland, the same children, they have the same thoughts. So perspective, for example, there's one story, it's called Rabbit or Duck. So in this story, especially this story, the children, it shows for them by actual, is it this rabbit or duck? So we will listen for their perspective. So this is duck or rabbit. So that's why, for example, if we have a problem, I ask them, if you were like this child, from your own perspective, how you will solve the problem. So with that, we can make conversation to listen to other perspective, because each child have an idea or have things that they can solve the problem. And that's why I like the ending. It's like to be a question. Why? Because I write for children. All my books, it's always end with question, because I'm trying to find out their perspective. What do you think? Because their perspective, it will add and scaffold for their knowledge. They will listen from us and they will see and hear, and then they build their own knowledge. So that's why we can listen to their perspective.
I do have to say that anyone who's listening to this podcast, I invite you to watch as well, because Doha, as a puppeteer, is using her hands in such a beautiful way. As she explains, it's always with those hands. And you can see that's part of your language. And it's so beautiful how even in this conversation, it's coming up. And when you talk about perspectives, it reminds me of Buzz's work in the arts, and how obviously storytelling and improvisation and playing allows us to pretend, right? Take on another person's character or identity and look at the world from their perspective. And that builds more empathetic, more empaths, and a kinder society for tomorrow. And when we were talking to Alex's point about technology, or the question that he was raising, may I just say, the more you can stay in the space that makes us human, I vote that we should double down on human skills we can develop in our children, right? Because that is what's going to give us a fighting chance, the uprising of the robots, the human skills.
Yeah. And just to add for perspective, a strategy, it's called Six Hats by Di Bono. So when I ask the children, by default, we ask them without saying, now you wear the red hat or the green hat. So even I don't hate ask them, what you learned from the story. I hate this question, because when you ask a question, maybe the children don't listen for the whole story itself. So that's why I ask them what you like, which page you like it, and which character you like it, and why. Why? Because maybe one of them, they just they have something in their minds. So that's why I hate the question, what you learn. I hate this question.
Doha, I feel as though you embody play and joy in all you are saying and how you are sharing your innovation. And my question for you is, I believe that's something that is our primary human language. And, before we are verbal and before we speak, we have expression and the arts, and children know that deeply. It's harder for adults to hold on to that. And so what advice do you have for both parents and teachers to keep the child alive in you?
The things that make this joyful for me, communicate with the children themselves. The children themselves, they grab me. When I go with my friends, I like to use metro station. And I like to go to downtown to Souq Waqif, for example, because I like to see the other, how they communicate with their children. So my joyful in this life to see how the people they act, and those give me the impacts for how can I deal with this later, and how I can use it for my storytelling, because sometimes I can use anything that situation happens in front of me. So the joyful, it's come from singing and also with dancing with my friends and especially my niece. I like dealing with those things.
Beautiful. And do you have a favorite story that you find yourself telling more than others?
You know what? There's one called Watermelon. Watermelon by تغريد النجار, عارف النجار. It's from Dar as publisher, Salwa publisher. I really like it because my voice, it's go up and down, and it shows imagination for them, and the illustration itself very nice. So because the Noura in that story, she liked a watermelon a lot, and this story also allow them that their imagination, they can use it. There's no limit for our imagination, and yeah, I really like it because I use my vocal expression more and more.
And do you have any advice for people who have just been reading books to others in a very maybe plain and boring way? Do you have any advice? Like, how can you make storytelling as amazing as you do it?
Yeah. First of all, the first advice, be yourself. This is the first one. And the second one, when you read a story, don't think about you are adult. No, you are a child. You have to look back when you 7 years old or maybe 5 years old, when you want to listen to story, what it will look like and what you will hear and what you will touch. So those questions, just ask yourself those questions and be yourself. Whenever you see anyone, a storyteller, have a method, but use your own method. And use your also your voice as it is, and also give the children to see the passion, to make we called it the magic bridge, that we can't see it, but we can feel it. Be yourself and feel it, just like that.
Connect with your inner child again.
Yes, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And we shouldn't feel embarrassed, right? We should just let that go.
Last week in festival, even I dance with them. Whenever I work with the children and read story, I forget myself. Anybody want to see me as you want, because I will act like I'm a child. So that's why my philosophy is think like a child and lead like a king. So whenever you have this inspire, it will let you go, let it go.
I keep just wanting to sort of agree in absolute passionate fervor that one of my philosophies with the facilitators in our organization, we do drama, jazz and singing. And I always say there is no wrong. You can't get it wrong. And when you were saying that, I was so compelled to share that that's the beauty about play, right? There isn't really a way of getting it wrong. And it's very few places in life, other than in this magic of storytelling and art, where you can't get a negative score.
I use many times after the storytelling, we make karaoke from the old cartoon. That's why the parents, also the teachers, they like it more than children, because I return back for the old fashioned.
Okay, hold on. Stop it there, Doha. Where were you at karaoke night on the summit?
Yeah.
I love it. I'm so grateful to hear all your insights, and clearly you have a deep understanding for both children and storytelling. Doha, thank you so much for sharing at the level that you have today. It's incredible.
Doha, I have one more question for you from my teachery point of view. So gathered here together, we have a lot of people that are really invested in storytelling. And as we've talked about, we have 21st century skills, we have social emotional learning. In my own classroom, I use storytelling to teach languages. And in previous years of the collection, we've had some amazing storytelling innovations that are really targeted at bringing kids into the experiences of history, of scientific discoveries, of things like this. I wonder, do you see any areas of education that need more storytelling, that would really benefit from having more stories in them? Which, if you had to pick one or two, what would they be?
It would be a science and philosophy, especially philosophy in Arab region. Because nowadays, the Arab region, they focus about the science because they see how the impact for their stories itself. But from my own perspective, we need more about philosopher because, sometimes around the world, they think about the philosophy as something taboo. But no, that the philosophy itself, we have to understand that it's a thinking skills. It's a critical thinking. So that's why I'm trying, inshallah, to make the philosophy, stories, and about science. Those two main things, it's helped them, as I told you before, to be a human being. because we need it, especially philosopher. If you want to be a philosopher, you have to listen for the others' stories.
And do you have any plans to make that come to life?
Yeah, because I'm trying nowadays to reach one publisher because I'm author. So it's my turn now to write something about philosophy and also to make a sync with the science itself, because those two main topics, it's related with each other. And inshallah, I have to try to figure out something that's related to those topics, inshallah.
Could you please publish that in English too? That would be so lovely. Doha, thank you so much for all your amazing ideas and sharing your experiences. It's been wonderful, just wonderful listening to you. And we can't wait to experience a storytelling show by you. That would be so lovely. We have one more question for you before we wrap up. And we ask every single guest that we have in our ConnectED podcast, what is your dream for education?
My dreams for education, to have no boundaries, to have a school with no birds. So a school that have in gardens. So I want our education to return back like old ancient, to let the students just goes for, they have the objects by their hands and they can just make a checklist for those objectives. They go for it. They learned from the library. They ask the students. So they ask teachers. They ask anything. So I want the children and the education, if in the future, there's no schools, I wish like that. Just we have a book and a guide for them. So if you wanted to go from my own perspective, just from first grade to fifth grade, just they can go to school. After that, no, we give them a guide, and this guide let them go whenever they want. Because after fifth grade, they can be a role model. They take any role model, and they can scaffold the knowledge as they see it from their perspective. So I wish like that, because 8 hours at school, from my own perspective, that's the students and the teachers. It's not helpful in this century. So inshallah, next new generation to think about just from first grade to fifth grade. After that, go whenever you want. Yes.
Okay, so you're going to start a school in the future, maybe one day.
Yeah, inshallah, you have fun.
Yeah, thank you so much, dear Doha, and our wonderful sidekicks, Hanneke, Lindsay, and Alex. This was such a wonderful session. Everybody, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Do you have an education innovation you want to share with the world? The call for the 2026 Global Collection is now open. Apply at HundrED.org.